to win it. Travel Column's getting on track late in the game. Here comes Travel Column.
Courtland Simmons with you here at the CS Racing Report podcast number 1 for the new year 2021, and a happy new calendar year to everyone. Let's quickly look at the horses that are going to impact a lot of the major races, including the upcoming Pegasus World Cup Invitational, along with the Kentucky Derby and the Kentucky Oaks Trail. Starting out with the Cigar Mile. How will True Timber fare after winning by 5.5 lengths over the offgoing at Aqueduct? Is he a 20-1 and above shot going into this race that'll feature Charlatan, the defending champion Mucho Gusto, who finished kind of a dull fourth after a 10-month layoff? Keep in mind, he only ran one time after winning the Pegasus in 2020 in the inaugural Saudi Cup. Came back after a 10-month layoff, and as you see, finished fourth in that race. Kind of sort of wilted or got outgamed in the stretch. Looked like he was going to kick away and win that pretty easily. And the question will be, did that set Mucho Gusto up to repeat as the champion? He's going to have to go against a formidable foe who's proven at 9 furlongs, even despite the layoff, in Charlatan, who sizzled in the Malibu Stakes the day after Christmas on that same card at Santa Anita. But for True Timber, does he qualify? Can he be competitive with these horses going in if they run the way they're supposed to outside of both Mucho Gusto and Charlatan? Is he a horse that can hit the board? That's going to be the question. Kendrick Carmouche will be in the irons more than likely. It'll be quite intriguing to see what the number will be. I think a lot of you think he's an outsider going in. I'm certainly looking to see him prove otherwise that he's not an outsider. Same thing with Bodie Express. Bodie Express, best known for throwing Johnny Velazquez before the 2019 Preakness, but he ran his best race at the home of the Pegasus, Gulfstream Park, in the 2019 Florida Derby behind Maximum Security. So in winning the Clark Handicap, he has probably kind of dissolved a little bit of that imagery from Pimlico by winning this race in 149.12 by 1 length over Code of Honor, with Owendale third, Coastal Defense fourth, and you see the rest of the order of finish, which include a couple of Breeders' Cup horses that disappointed in here, Mr. Freeze and By My Standards. But Bodie Express looked good in this race. He took the lead, and when it looked like the others were going to get to him, he kind of kicked clear, ran strongly through the wire, and he looks like a horse who's on the upswing, and this will be a home game for him going to Gulfstream Park. Let's see what he does. I think most of you believe he's in that 20-1 range, maybe a little higher. The odds will definitely, certainly float up and down in the days leading up to the Pegasus, but I like this performance. The pedigree suggests that the 1.8 shouldn't be a problem. We shall see where Bodie Express fits. I like to hear your comments and quotes as to what you think his chances are going into the Pegasus World Cup. Meantime, Arklow, a horse that finished 5th in the Breeders' Cup Turf for Brad Cox. This is a recurring theme with Brad Cox. He went out to California and set the stakes record at 1.5 miles, 226.31 in the Hollywood Turf Cup, a very impressive half-length record-setting performance. Meantime, in Asia on the turf, he had 3 Triple Crown winners running in the Japan Cup. I thought that was very interesting. The 2018 Philly Triple Crown winner, Almond Eye, going for her 9th Grade 1 against the 2 2020 Triple Crown champions in Contrail and Daring Tact, and that's exactly the way they finished, with Almond Eye a length and a quarter in front, coming on in the stretch to post a sizzling 1 1/4 length victory, a length and a quarter victory in 2:23 flat. Just a sparkling time, a head-spinning time over the 1.5 miles. And a lot of people are glad that she's not going to be back for training in 2021, retires with 9 Grade 1 wins. The problem is the runner-up and the third-place finisher are going to be back, and if they run anything like the way they did in the Japan Cup, minus Almond Eye being around, they're going to be a problem for everyone. Meantime, in the Hong Kong races, Mogul, a horse a lot of people were expecting a lot of things of during his 3-year-old season, ended the season on a high note, winning the Hong Kong Vase at the same distance of the Japan Cup at 1.5 miles and 227.21, stamping himself as one of, if not the favorite for Cartier Horse of the Year. I think a lot of you are going to be asking, how will he compete against the likes of probably the returning Fanny Logan and some of his 3-year-old male counterparts who are going to come back, whether it be Santiago, Tiger Moth, and a number of other horses. So Mogul gets on the board with a big win after disappointing in the Breeders' Cup, after he kind of missed what would be deemed, I don't even know if you could call it a prep, but a big race in the Arc de Triomphe when the bug went around around the barn, preventing him from getting a good race before the Breeders' Cup, but he was able to use the Breeders' Cup to spark a victory here under Ryan Moore. Meantime, as I said before, Mucho Gusto ran fourth in the San Antonio, won by Kiss Today Goodbye. He will be a horse that you're going to be looking at to get a number on in the Pegasus because he's not a well-known horse, and but his performance stamped him, he punched his ticket for an invitation to the race, and I thought it was a very good performance against a good field. So we'll see where he fits in. I think a lot of you will comment to yourselves or either here at CS Racing Report as to whether you think they have much of a chance. I'm certainly not putting them at the top of the ledger in terms of Pegasus contenders. Now, when it comes to the Kentucky Derby, swinging back into those final 2-year-old races for these newly minted 3-year-olds, when you look at the Goldenrod and the Kentucky Jockey Club, both from the home of the Kentucky Derby, Churchill Downs, what's interesting is in the Goldenrod, which is for 2-year-old fillies, is that Travel Column ran pretty much faster than Keep Me in Mind, who won. They both went from last to first to win their stake races respectively. But Travel Column won in 143.98 versus Keep Me in Mind's 144.52. Touching on the Kentucky Jockey Club, the top 4 horses I thought ran very well, including the 4th place Swill, another Brad Cox trainee. And it'll be interesting to see how they fit in the Derby wagering pool. I think they're going to be on the outside looking in until these preps are run. But Keep Me in Mind comes in with 3 nice efforts, 2 at Keeneland behind the 2-year-old champion to be, more than likely, Essential Quality, and then winning this race at Churchill. So he's got a good race over the Derby track. The disappointments in this race are going to have to reinsert themselves into Derby contention. That would be King Fury and Sitting on Go. They were expected to do a lot better than what they did in this race for both Kenny McPeak and Dale Romans respectively. So that'll be interesting to see where they fit at the top. For the time being, I think, and I think most of you agree, they're on the outside looking in on the 2nd tier, and especially looking at Travel Column. She ran a faster time, but most of you believe, and I'm probably, sort of leaning the same way, she may not be even considered for the Kentucky Derby trail, even though to me it feels like she can get a 1.25 miles. But you never know, because British Idiom, Brad Cox's other champion 2-year-old filly, didn't quite transition from 2 to 3 in 2020. But Travel Column's performance, keep in mind, she was bottled up at the top of the stretch. Florent Giroux tried to go to the inside. The favorite, Simply Ravishing, cut her off. He had to go across the track and run the risk of being clipped from behind, and he made that bold move. She was 4 wide and was still able to prevail by a length over Clairiere, a very classy daughter of Courtland, with her stablemate, Coach, finishing 3rd. So Travel Column and Coach are both trained by Brad Cox, so he's got a 1-2 punch for the yokes, but I think the Travel Column's a Derby horse. Some of you may or may not agree. I'd love to hear your input on that. So I think that Travel Column's very interesting. Meantime, out on the West Coast, Spielberg lived up to his dramatic name. He's a son of Union Rags, trained by Bob Baffert, but is he even the best horse in the Baffert barn? Can he be a Derby contender? Union Rags, by the way, won the 2012 Belmont over Baffert's Painter in a dramatic finish, and now he has a son of that Belmont winner. He came on to beat Spielberg, to beat the Great One by a nose in 142.56. The Great One is a son of Nyquist, trained by the trainer of that Derby winner, Doug O'Neill. That was one of his 2 Derby victors, Nyquist. So those both horses, I think people are going to ask the question, how good are they going to be in terms of the West Coast contingent, and even more specifically with Spielberg, where does he fit into the Baffert barn, and is he at the top level, at the top tier of that barn? So that's what's going to be interesting. But the time in this race, note 142.56, significantly faster than the 2 races at Churchill Downs. So keep that in mind in sort of calculating where those horses fit in. It's going to be very, very intriguing to see how it goes when they make their 3-year-old debuts, that being Spielberg and the Great One, and if Red Flag, who beat Spielberg in the prep for the Los Al Futurity, the Bob Hope, if he can rebound from a distant 4th place finish. He was well back from the top 3. He was 5 lengths behind Petruccio, and so he's going to have to make up those lengths and improve. John Sheriffs is the trainer. You know him from Zenyatta fame, but he also won the Derby in 2005 with Giacomo, who of course was named after Police lead singer and solo superstar Sting's son. So it'll be interesting to see if Red Flag can reinsert himself the same way King Fury and Sitting on Go are going to have to after finishing off the board in their final 2-year-old races. So that's going to be the interesting thing, along with another horse. He may be a bit of an outsider coming out of the Remington Springboard Mile. His name is Senor Buscador. He is a son of 2003 Horse of the Year Mineshaft, who was a son of AP Indy, making him a grandson of the Horse of the Year and the Super Stallion. And Senior Buscador came almost 9 wide. He was almost out in the parking lot and circled the field from last to first, a recurring theme on all these stakes wins, and blew this field away by 5 3/4 lengths in the time posted as you see right there. And what's going to be curious is he a son of Mineshaft? Is that a Midwest Mineshaft pedigree that can only be effective on the local level? Or is it a Mineshaft pedigree that can nationally compete in these preps leading up to the Kentucky Derby and subsequently the Triple Crown? That's going to be it, but I like him. He's going to definitely be a fat price right now until we see what he does against the so-called better horses leading up to the Kentucky Derby. And we're going to cover that and see how those questions are answered, be it the Derby, surrounding both the Derby, along with the Pegasus World Cup Invitational, right here at the CS Racing Report.
Now Goldikova's unwinding and running the center of the track.